Joining me now, he played college football in the SEC at Missouri. He was an all-SEC defensive end. He played for the Browns and the Seattle Seahawks. He loves football. He loves helping young men. He's now coaching defensive line for the Barcelona Dragons. Marcell Frazier, how are you?
I'm doing great, dude. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. I'm excited to talk to you. I've actually been teasing this for a while. And I guess what I'd like to do first is just have you're coaching right now in the European League of Football. Pitch me and everyone else on the league. Tell me about the league. Tell me why I should be excited and kind of tell people about what's going on over there.
So yeah, man, we've rebranded basically from NFL Europe. We've took the naming rights of every single team. Well, not every team because we're not as big as NFL Europe was, but all 8 of our teams. I know at least the Barcelona Dragons, the Hamburg Sea Devils, the team up in Frankfurt. We all took the naming rights from NFL Europe. But the key difference now is we're trying to create a actual European League of Football that grows and develops European talent, whereas the old NFL Europe was almost like an American developmental league that happened to be in Europe. So that's a big difference here. We're trying to grow the fan base here and just grow the talent to give it longevity and maybe give kids some opportunities for NFL pathways, Canadian international pathways. So yeah, that's the one key difference. But the fans, I think they're more excited than ever just because NFL Europe has been over for a decade or two now. So they've been really hungry for, a multi-country league here in Europe, and we're off to a great start, I believe.
I'm pretty unique on YouTube where I can reach anybody globally. So a lot of my audience is in Germany and in Spain and all over the UK. And I know that, I cover Formula One, which means I tapped into Europe as well. And it's interesting, there really is a hunger for football in Europe. Is that your sense as you're coaching over there?
Oh man, totally. I've only been to 2 venues so far. We've had 2 home games, and we played at Cologne. And both venues that I've been at so far, fans are singing the whole time. Fans are chanting. It's almost kind of like the soccer kind of fan base where they're just active the whole time. They don't always quite know when to cheer as far as on offense or defense, but they just kind of sing songs and they chant pretty much nonstop, which is awesome. They get really, really, really drunk before the game. They pregame just like they pregame, just like Americans. They do their whole tailgate thing. They eat. I know here in Barcelona we have a band who actually does pregame for about 1 to 2 hours. So it's a live show in our parking lot that the band sings and plays music, some classic American music, some Spanish music. They get the fans all rowdy, and then when the game starts, it's ready to go, man. So the fans seem hungry for it, and they've supported it, I think, in television ratings and as far as showing up in person as well.
Yeah, I've been impressed. I follow you guys. I follow the Barcelona Dragons on Instagram, your team. I think you signed a kicker actually like 15 minutes ago I saw. Do you know anything about that?
I do not know about that, but looks like he's played on the Raiders, which is great for us.
That's phenomenal. Are you having fun?
Oh, dude, it's awesome. It's a little bit different flavor as far as just a slight language barrier. We're in Spain, and Spain is one of the countries where they don't speak as much English compared to Germany or obviously the UK. Their language is English, but in Germany I know they speak a little bit more English, so it's given me a chance to touch up on my Spanish. But you find new ways to coach. It's almost like high school and JUCO where you're really getting people who are young in the game, and you have to find new ways to communicate to them to get your point across. But I'm having an amazing time in Spain, dude. Like, how can you not like Spain?
Yeah, tropical, beautiful, warm. Well, you were in Andorra yesterday, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I was in Andorra the past 2 nights. But yeah, Andorra is awesome, dude. It's up in the mountains. It's a village. It's a couple little villages. It's ultra modern. I mean, per capita, probably the most modern place I've ever set foot in. Everything was just ultra modern. Everything was made of stone. Yeah, it was just awesome, dude. Everybody was super fit. They're into outdoors, mountain biking, hiking, skiing, kind of like the PNW a little bit.
Yeah. So you're on your bye week. You just travel over to Andorra for a couple days.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet deal. It's only about a 3-hour and 15-minute drive, and you're in a completely different country. They're not in the European Union at all, so it's a little bit different flavor. There really was no COVID restrictions as far as getting in. Coming out of it, they checked our passport and all that good stuff. But going in, it was like a checkpoint and they waved at us and we kind of just went in.
Wow. What's it like? So how far was the travel to Cologne, Germany?
So Cologne was just like, taking a flight on the West Coast, maybe from Southern Cal to Washington. It wasn't, I slept most of the way, but I don't think it was any more than 2.5, maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes. Um, Cologne was awesome though. Cologne was a little bit more of a historic place. It reminds me a lot of America as far as the infrastructure in Germany. Very, very big freeways. They drive super fast. The cars are a little bit larger in Germany compared to Spain. The people are much, much bigger in Germany compared to Spain. They look more American, tall, wide. But it was awesome. The one thing about Europe is everyone is kind. There's no like, you're never really like looking over your shoulder like you are in the States as far as, oh man, this guy might be crazy or this person might have a weapon and kill me. Everybody's just super kind. So you let your guard down a lot here, which is awesome.
How is the experience for the players? You're coaching, but you're coaching a bunch of players. What's it like for them? Are they having a good time? Is it good for them?
Oh man, the Spanish guys are having an amazing time because in comparison to the German league, obviously, Germany is probably the most developed football in the continent of Europe. Whereas Spain, a lot of our guys are young on the international scene. They're not young in age, all of them are. Some of them are, but a lot of them are just young on the international scene, and they have just soaked it up. And I know going to Germany for them was, I think, the first time most of them have left their home country or their home region for a game, and many of them had never been to Germany at all. So I know they enjoyed it absolutely, and we've taken great care of them. Just from my experience in the XFL, the CFL, and the NFL, we take care of our guys. Obviously, it's not going to be the same finances, but amenities, the housing, our guys live pretty close to the beach. They eat pretty well on game day and the day before game day and while traveling. So they're loving it, man.
I'm curious, in Division One football, you have guys who are like walk-ons who often have to work jobs on the side. Is anybody doing that over there?
We do have guys who work, actually. We have guys who work and commute. So we have, the majority of our guys live in a residence in town. So a lot of the coaches, we were at the beach town, then they moved us over to where the stadium's at. So we were all in the same residence though, so it was great accommodations. But I have two D linemen who commute. One commutes about an hour and a half every day for practice. One commutes about 2 hours. And then I have my 4 or 5 other D linemen. They live here in the residence. So they just, drive only, 5-10 minutes to practice and to home. But there's some guys, who work. We have a starting money who's a like outside linebacker safety hybrid. He works a night shift at a factory. And so he practices and does meetings all day. Then he drives home, goes to night shift, not wakes up, but gets off work, go to sleep for a little bit, eat, and then come to practice. And he does it all over again every week.
That's a dude who loves football. There's no way you're doing that kind of work if you don't enjoy the work.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking on love of football, that's not a theme you really have to worry about in Europe because it's not amateur because we're paying them and we're paying for their accommodations and we pay for their flights, but they're not doing it to get rich like in America. So they absolutely love the game. No matter if they're young in the game, old in the game, they know a lot, they don't know anything, they're good or bad. Across the board, I would say the majority of the guys love the game, unlike anywhere I've ever been probably as far as coaching.
Well, in Europe, too, football is not your first option. I mean, there's so many other sports you could gravitate towards before playing American football. So if a guy chose to play football in Spain, that dude's there for football. I mean, that's really cool to me. That's part of the story. I go, wow, man, these guys are so dedicated. I do want to know, so you talked briefly about coaching guys with a language barrier. So do you have guys who don't speak English or speak very little English? You're trying to teach how to play defensive line?
Yeah, I have two guys who, they speak maybe kindergarten English, if that. And my Spanish is like first grade Spanish. So I'm blessed enough to have an assistant coach who basically works part-time. He's a head coach for a local team in town, but he comes and helps us when he can. And obviously he speaks fluent Spanish, Catalan, and English. So he helps a lot when he's there, but he's our only guy on the defensive staff who's fluent in Spanish. The rest, when he's not there, we have to wing it. And he's not always with the DBs or the linebackers. He's rarely with them, so he's with me. But, yeah, I would say I got a lot of guys who know 3 to 4 languages, and English probably being their worst. for all of my D linemen probably. I
Mm.
have one guy from the UK, and so English is his second language. He's actually born in Italy. English is his second language, but he's lived in the UK for 14 years. So he speaks well enough that me and him obviously communicate the best. But the rest of the guys, they range anywhere from kindergarten English to maybe conversational English, to college English.
Does this make you a better coach, having to basically speak football rather than speak English? If that makes sense, you're teaching and showing in a different way. Is it pushing you and challenging you as a coach?
It makes me a more creative coach for sure. I don't know if it always makes me better because I think you want to speak in black and white terms as much as possible as a coach.
Mm.
But it makes you find a way. Just like when I was coaching high school at David Douglas, and the kids have never seen half the drills I was introducing to them. So I had to be very punctual and be very visual in how I explained it. The great thing is visualization and kind of walking through a drill or watching film, that has carryover regardless, no matter if they're speaking Japanese, German, or English or Spanish. When they see me do something and they see me walk through something, it's good. But yeah, it makes me way more creative of a coach. Where I guess in the long run, it'll probably make me a better coach because I'll learn how to communicate with people literally from different countries, which can only be a benefit for me.
So here's something you may not know the answer to. You grow up in Spain. How do you play football? I mean, is it through the high school? Is it through a club? Like, how does one learn football in a country where it's not the predominant sport?
So this generation of guys, the guys that are around our age or younger or a little bit older, they grew up with the Barcelona Dragons of the NFL Europe. So they had major television exposure, I believe. That's my guess. The generation before them, though, I have no idea how they would even consume American football. But I know they show the Super Bowl in Germany. Germany has an American football, basically almost exclusive channel that shows the Monday night game, the Thursday night game, I think the Sunday night game as well. They show a couple games per week in primetime in Germany. Spain, obviously it's huge, huge, huge soccer. It's one of the soccer meccas of the world. But the guys, it's almost like the guys who play basketball or football for intramural college that just they kind of rounded up the guys, and maybe there was a head coach who saw that somebody was big or saw that somebody was fast and recruited them. But a lot of them, me and my one coworker, we came here talking a lot of soccer, and a lot of the kids told us, quite frankly, that they hate soccer and American football is their favorite sport. So I stopped talking soccer quick around most of the guys because a lot of them really love the game of football.
That's super cool. That's awesome, man. I guess, is there anything else you should tell me? I mean, I'm curious if there's anything I'm forgetting to ask about because if you have more insight, I'm happy to hear stuff. Any stories, anything I should be asking about?
Where the league is looking to expand, that's a big goal of the league. I want to say they want to double maybe in the next coming years, and that may mean teams in England or the Netherlands or France or Italy. But those are not confirmed. But I think that would be huge for the league. Expansion for the league would be huge. As we all know, there's a major, major void in American football right now. The XFL is down. The USFL won't be back till the spring. The Canadian Football League it's a Canadian league. It's not quite a United States-based league, so there's still the flaws that come with that system. So I think expansion will be huge for this league, and I just think, honestly, it's a good deal. Since it's like a European-bred league, it's not just a bunch of Americans who are using this as second fiddle. It's a lot of Europeans that they're bringing up in the game that are 18, 19, college days kids that are growing in the game, and I think that's what may make this league last long.
Who's your best player? Do you have a best player or two that you're like, but this guy's a stud?
There's a lot. They're learning, man. Different guys pop every game. We're young in the season. We have a lot of great young Spanish guys. We have really explosive receivers and a really explosive quarterback. Gene Constant, our American receiver, he separated himself for sure out of everybody, but he kind of walked in ready to play. Some of the other guys are learning a bit, and I'm sure by the end of the season there'll be different guys who stand out.
I want to know if you're a guy growing up right now, say you're 17, 18, 19 in Spain. Why should they come play for you guys?
We're the top level in Spain. We're the top level. We compete with the six best teams in Germany, and the 6 time in a row Polish champ in Poland. So we're by far the highest level of football that you can play south of Germany, and that's including France, that's including Portugal, that's including Spain, that's including Italy. We're the highest football that you can play by far, and we're up there with the Central European big boys, man. And if you have any aspirations of playing football, or you care about it, or you want to get paid to play this game, this is the top level. So it's just a no brainer if you like football, and this is what you kind of want to do.
Yeah, man, your stadium looks beautiful too. I watched your first game, and there's a shot of they do like a pan out of the whole scene. I'm like, man, you got the Green Mountains in the background. The sun was setting. I was like, man, that's a beautiful stadium. Is that how it really is?
Oh, it's awesome, dude. It reminds me of something in SoCal, or it reminds me a lot of SoCal. This region is a lot like SoCal. The water's a bit warmer, and the temperature is a bit more stable. But yeah, there's the mountains, which are in the near distance in the background, and then you're about our stadium is about a 15-minute drive from the Mediterranean Sea. So it's just a great setup. It's very, very nice.
You getting in the water? You swimming?
Early I did, when we weren't in season, we were kind of in training camp. But man, you'd be shocked. I don't get a lot of time, man. It's pretty much hustle and bustle, go, go, go. And being the youngest guy on the defensive staff and the second youngest guy on the whole staff, I kind of, I'm trying to hold my own a bit. So not too much free time or fun time. But when my older staff people want to have some fun, I grab them to their coattails, and we have some fun for sure.
Man, to me, the good life is getting in the water every day. I mean, you know where I'm going. Oh man, I love it.
The beach life is awesome. This is second to none.
I want to ask you. You played college football in the SEC, big time Division I college football. I played in the NFL a little bit. Recently, the NCAA basically was forced to allow, college athletes to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. I'm curious, when you saw that, what was your reaction as a former college athlete?
I was happy for those guys, man. That's awesome. I'm watching I'm watching a lot of my former teammates, take advantage of it, and something that people don't realize is walk-ons can do this as well. So maybe now a walk-on doesn't have to work at the car dealership or work at a fast food or work a shitty night shift. He can get money off his name and likeness by promoting, a pizza joint or promoting a bar or promoting a wing joint. And maybe he can make some viable money where he doesn't have to work these crazy hours. Or you can do like what De'Aaron King down in Miami has done. They're hosting kind of signing events or major events for the whole team where they split the profit. So if you're a walk-on, man, you can go to that event, split some profit, and you can have some cash to take home, where maybe you can get better at your craft of playing football instead of worrying about making money all the time. So that's awesome. That's kind of like for me, that's like the unsung hero or the unsung winner in all of this is the walk-on kid who can monetize themselves and doesn't have to go work a labor job or doesn't have to do another job for 5 hours out of their day anymore.
It's insane. The guys who walk on, they have a job, they also have full-time school, and football is more than enough for a full-time job. It's pretty crazy the time commitment those guys have. I am happy for them as well. What? The other people I'm happy for are the guys who have a lot of potential and might get hurt. You see often there's a guy every year who is headed to the NFL. You feel so good about him, and in his last game, he hurts his knee, or his final season, something happens, and his draft stock falls a bunch, and maybe they never play again, or maybe they lose out on a ton of money in the NFL draft. It's those guys who I'm like, yes, okay, these guys. It's so awful to have a guy look like they're set for life, tear an ACL, and have a major problem and lose a ton of money. And so now those guys can make money too. I for a long time have hated the NCAA. It drives me nuts. I still think they're underpaid, these guys. But I'm happy to see guys make some money and get what I think is well-deserved, at least minimum, make money off your name, image, and likeness. I'm curious, not everybody knows your story. Certainly you're new to some people here on this show right now. What I love about you got your master's degree through your football scholarship. Can you tell that story and talk about that at all?
Yeah, so basically, my summer going to my senior year, I still had a year eligibility left I'm a year of scholarship money left, and now I've only had a half a semester of football or a semester of football left. And so I kind of just talked to my advisor and was like, what can I do continuing education wise besides taking like a golf class or like a ceramics class? And we just looked into a program in master's education, and it was basically hybrid. You can do it all online or you can do it in person and online. But for me, I was like, hey, I'm going to try to pursue the NFL, so why not do the all online version of it? I did it. Had a great advisor at Mizzou, and kind of, playing SEC ball is pretty humbling because even being like all SEC, there's still a separation. Like you play against Dak Prescott and you play against some of these top guys, and even in the top conference, there's still separation, just like in the NFL. There's fringe NFL guys, and then there's Tom Brady. So it was just humbling. And for me, I didn't see it as like, hey, I'm giving up on my dream. I seen it as like a kind of like a safety net or just like a cushion to brace my fall if I ever fell. I took a semester off to pursue my NFL dreams because that was going to be impossible to try to make a roster. I was doing training camp early, rookie training camp while doing my master's, but I took a semester off, and then I restarted it and was doing it through the XFL, which was still hard, working a bunch of jobs trying to make a pro roster. And yeah, man, but it was a great decision, absolutely.
To me, it seemed like you were looking at it as, hey, if they're going to use me, I might as well use them kind of thing. You're like, I'm going to get everything I can out of this opportunity rather than taking underwater basket weaving. Is that accurate?
Totally, and that comes from more the JUCO mindset of when you're at junior college, you're pretty much roughing it. You are, meals are scarce, transportation is scarce, financial aid is scarce. People don't realize about JUCO is if you go to California JUCO, you're funding it yourself. There is no scholarship, so you're funding it fully out of pocket. You've seen Last Chance U with the California schools; it's a whole different ballgame. So for me going there, a lot of my class that I went to Mizzou with, I think it was only two of us who had came from JUCO and finished. I think it was three originally, but two of us came and finished. And ironically, both of us kind of leeway straight into our career after football was done because we had that real life experience as JUCO as far as, hey, man, you got to work for what you want. And so I just knew like, hey, football is not always promised, and you got to kind of make something for yourself career-wise and do something. And the master's degree was a way to do that, man. And it was a way to use SEC football the way that they use thousands and thousands of athletes that they've done for decades and decades. And it's not like, oh, this in your face. It was just, it's a resource I had, just like I was a resource to the University of Missouri.
Marcell, I want to say thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, you got a lot going on. I think we're on a 9-hour time difference right now. It's funny, I got off a call with Japan, which is 16 hours, and I was trying to manage everything. I want to say real quick before you go, I remember you graduated, you wore number 9. I got your jersey, the one you wore literally, as my jersey after you left. And it was shredded. This dude played so hard. Your jersey was like, had holes in it, was ripped everywhere. I couldn't believe they kept it and gave it to me. And I've always, ever since then, man, it's great to call you a friend. I appreciate your time. And I'm rooting for you and everything, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, Zach. And good luck on your move to Hawaii, man. And enjoy the sun, dude.
The sun, the water. Dude, I cannot wait. I got no space, but I don't need any. The ocean is pretty big out there, so I'll be plenty happy.
It is. Watch out for sharks, man.
I will. Love you, brother. Talk soon.
I love you, brother. Talk soon.